Hello YouTube watchers and casual social scrollers. I'm Imani, a self-proclaimed expert on love, relationships, and all things romance. I don't have a degree in romance, but after a few shitty relationships and some serious introspection about what it takes to be in love and what it means to truly make a relationship work, I have risen from the ashes of relationship despair, a phoenix, eager to share with you some of the wise lessons I've learned along the way, with the mission to make all of us a little bit more savvy when it comes to love. And of course, I am talking about romantic love, but on this channel, I'll also be talking about the love and relationships that we have with ourselves, our friends, and our family. And today, to begin our conversation about love and relationships, I will be sharing with you the formula for the perfect date. And there's 3 things that make the formula for the perfect date: what you do before, what you do during, and what you do after the date, that make all the difference in culminating in this perfect date experience. Follow me, come with me, stay tuned, and I will share with you all the things that you can do before a date to make your date even more amazing and have them wanting to come back for more of you and all your beauty and all your lusciousness that you have to offer. All right, without further ado, everything you should do before the date. So when we're talking about what to do before the date, we can break it out into 2 sections: what we do days leading up to the date and what we do the night of the date. So there's 3 main things that we can do days leading up to the date to make it even more memorable. The first thing is to be on our shit and not have to ask the date what they want to do for the date. And of course, if it's a first date, then there's always a cute, quirky way to ask, like, do you want to be surprised when we go on our date, or is there something you've been dying to try? Otherwise, recollect to a previous conversation that you've all had about something that they wanted to try or something that you all thought you might enjoy together, and make that happen as your date. Do not ask somebody out on a date with the intention that they have to plan the date to make it a reality. You have to do that. You have to take the initiative to make it happen. With that being said, go the extra mile and don't settle for a movie or a dinner date. 2 very big reasons that I say that. With a dinner date, not only is it predictable, but you're sort of confined to the rules of the establishment. And that sounds silly because maybe there are other dates that don't apply that too, but you're eating, you're chewing, it's really easy and cop-out conversation to have. You're just talking about what's on the menu. I definitely recommend that if you decide to go on a dinner date, but avoid it at all costs. And movies are even worse because you're not even speaking. You're watching Daniel Craig blow shit up, you're watching Rachel McAdams fall in love again, but you came there for one another. So don't sit down for 2.5 hours to watch a movie. That is unless this is your 17th, 18th date and you're both movie buffs. Even before then, if you're both movie buffs and you just wanted to see this new film. I myself love seeing movies. I do that all the time, but that's not my only date night because that would be absolutely ridiculous. And we're not growing as a relationship if the only thing that we have in common is the last movie that we saw together. With that being said, if you do decide to go on to the movies for a date, do it on the weekend, go for a matinee so that you still have time to do something afterwards and it's not 7, 8 o'clock at night. All right, so that's one thing that you can do. Plan out the date, be on top of your shit, avoid dinner and movies. Another sweet thing that you can do days before leading up to a date is to send a text message or send a call. Like, send some sort of message to the person that you plan on courting, that you're thinking about them and that you can't wait to see them this weekend. I definitely think that a phone call is more impactful, but everybody doesn't like to talk on the phone. Most of the time, especially if the relationship is new, it might seem a little forced. So meet your significant other, meet the person that you want to get to know, where they're at, and try calling. If they don't answer, don't leave a voicemail. That's weird. Just send a text message. I can't wait to see you. I'm looking forward to our weekend together. And that's a good way to not only remind them of the event, but also make sure that they remember that this is something that you want to do and something that you're both ready and getting excited for. So that was some of the things that you can do days leading up to your date night. The night of the date night, there's some other little things that you should do in preparation to ensure that when you're on the date, nothing goes awry, right? So the first thing I like to do is do a mental checklist. And if it helps you, don't even leave it to be mental. Go ahead and write these things down. Really easy to remember. First thing, make sure that you have your ID, a card, and some cash on you. You don't want to be out and finally need cash and not have cash. It helps everybody if you're prepared. Speaking of being prepared, go ahead and check your gas in your car if you're planning on driving and picking up your date. And even if you're not, you don't want to be running late because you had to get gas. Make sure that your gas is not going to run on empty while you're out trying to court somebody. The next thing that you need to do as far as being prepared is go ahead and check the weather. If it looks like it's gonna rain, pop the umbrella in the car and be ready and look like a hero when you have an umbrella and both of you don't have to walk into wherever you're going soaking wet from the rain. With that being said, the last thing that you can do leading up to a date is go ahead and also check your bank account. And that may seem silly, but you know, it's happened where somebody has decided to go out somewhere and realize at the end of the night when you ran your card and it didn't go through because of insufficient funds, because maybe something got pulled out of your account. Anything could happen. Check your bank account in advance. Speaking of checking your bank account and doing all that shit in advance to be getting ready for a date, if you decide to go on a dinner date, which is definitely a date idea that I do not recommend, but if you decide to go ahead and do it, I have some specific tips for what you should look for while planning this kind of date. First things first is you decide on a restaurant where you can afford at least 75% of the menu. 75%. Why do I say this? Because you don't want to be caught in a situation where you're trying to oppress somebody above your means. Do not ever break your pocket to go out with somebody that you're just getting to know, and especially to go out with somebody that you love. If it's somebody that you love, you should be able to have that conversation. And if it's somebody that you're just getting to know, then maybe you don't want to have a financial conversation, but you don't want to resent them as you're getting to know them because they broke the bank the first few times that you hung out. So a way that you can go about avoiding this, even if you go to a restaurant and it's 75%, but your date happens to order the 25% that you aren't really affording, you can make a joke or start off the date before they even pick the item and say, so what are you looking at on the menu? I'm leaning towards this. State which item you're leaning towards. Ideally, the date will parrot what you suggest, and then it'll be within the same price range at least. They won't be so inclined to order the lobster if you ordered the chicken. Obviously, if your date decides to order it anyway, it's time to be direct. I don't really think that's in my budget right now. Is there anything else you're interested in? Will that kill the mood? Maybe, but that means that they're not for you because they're not ready for a tough conversation and they were being an asshole in the first place. So those are all of the main tips that I have for before the date, leading up to the date, what you can do days out, and then what you can do the night of to make the date memorable. And this is a formula for the perfect date in the sense that it's not about where you go, but it's about how you do and conduct your date leading up to it, during it, and even afterwards. So stay tuned for the 2 other videos in this series where we'll talk about what we do during the date and what we talk about what we do after the date to make it the perfect date for the person that you're interested in and who gets the pleasure of your lovely, amazing company. So go ahead and feel free to hit the subscribe button if you want to hear more of my voice, and go ahead and like this button if you found any of these tips helpful, and then also feel free to smash that bell and get notified about my next video if you want to hear my tips about what you should do during the date to make it the most perfect, amazing date ever. Lovely, great. I'm so happy that I got to share those with you. I can't wait to talk to you again. Again, thank you so much. And until we see each other again, I love you.